Funny you mentioned that. A lot of people don't even try to say my name. They just say Sarah A. They don't even bother trying. I was born in Santa Clara to my father, Max Aghazadeh, and my mother, Cindy Aghazadeh, originally Cindy Finkbeiner. My father was originally born in Tehran, Iran, even though his family was from Kurdistan and Mahabad. He came to Oklahoma to go to university. Came all the way out here, not knowing the language at all, not knowing how to read or write, even speak. Taught himself English, got through university, but he spent about 7 years in Oklahoma trying to learn the language. From what I've been told, there wasn't much of a reason as far as why they wanted to come to California, other than they heard there was a lot of opportunity. There were also some people, like a network out here that he knew that had moved out from Texas. My mother tried really hard to fit into the culture that my dad was born into. So like the first thing she got when they got married was a Persian cookbook. And she learned how to cook tachin, gormazebzi, like all of that. She learned how to do that. She learned words and phrases in Persian, tried to learn as much Persian as she could, trying to strive to kind of fit in or kind of understand his perspective a little better and understand his culture and what he comes from. I think there was maybe one other family that had a father that was Persian, but a mother that was not. I loved hanging out with them because I felt like they just got me. We would be at these Persian parties, and I always felt like I didn't really fit in. Even just looking at me, people don't normally know that I'm Persian. Like, they would never guess. And when I tell them, they go, "Oh, really? You must be half." In 1994, my sister was born. My grandparents were out to help with that. My grandmother actually was the one that would rock her to sleep a lot, and as just a little itty bitty baby, because my mother and my father were working so hard at their electrical contracting business, which my mom eventually ended up actually doing electrical work for too. I guess I've always felt like I've had one foot in each realm in a way, like I'm so inherently American, but at the same time, I was raised with my grandparents straight out of Tehran. My dad is very Persian in so many ways, his beliefs, we weren't allowed to go sleep over at any friends' houses, weren't allowed to go to trips, like all of these things that he associated with his Persian upbringing. And so I always kind of felt like I was straddling this world, and I actually don't think I navigated it very well. I think I was very conflicted for a very long time. I do remember as a kid, if I was in a position where I felt like I needed to be more American, or if I was at a Persian gathering where I felt like I needed to be more Persian, I would kind of try to morph to the way that I thought I was supposed to act, whether it was, using some Persian words or dressing a certain way or to kind of fit in. Well, I definitely think, working at Baskin-Robbins, having someone tell me to tell them my name is Persian, not Iranian, was the kind of feedback that got me thinking about the ways in which Iranians and Iranian-Americans are viewed in our society and how that contributes to the current relationship between the two nations. I didn't really feel like there was a lot being done. Well, there's a lot being done to try to better it, but it unfortunately hasn't been as successful as we'd hope over the last, 30 years. And so that's really what got me thinking about trying to at least do what I could to somehow better it. So that's why I've focused my graduate studies on trying to start that process. I contacted some professors on campus and kind of guided towards the possibility of an interdisciplinary master's degree. And now focusing my thesis on Obama's public diplomacy outreach towards the Iranian people. And I'm really interested in looking and analyzing that a little bit deeper. When I had the opportunity to go to Iran last January, I got to see and hear a lot of perceptions of not only Americans, but of our government. And that really got me thinking about how those two parties communicate. Family was the number one benefit of going and was really the reason I went. Having the family there as soon as you walk off the plane, and even family you've never met before that already love you and you have no idea why. I've reflected a lot about the trip. It's been a year since I was there. One thing that I've really reflected on a lot is how we communicate who we are to other people. That's something I've always struggled with. And going to Iran didn't necessarily help. It confused me in a lot of ways. But that's not a bad thing. So, it's hard for me to say I'm 50% American and I'm 50% Iranian American or, whatever the case is. for me, it goes back to that essential point about connecting these two that have connected me in a way. The work that I would hope to do in the future is kind of bridging these two worlds that have been so separate from me for so long that I've always tried to fit into differently and kind of say, well, actually they can be married, they can work together, they can fit together. And I think a lot of that has to also do with the perceptions that different people from different cultures have of each other. Because, when you see two nations that are so long not having a good relationship, or, when my dad comes here from Iran and he gets treated so poorly because he's Iranian, you start to think that that's not possible, that your American side and your Iranian side are separate. They don't get along. They don't mix. They're like oil and water. In my future, I would hope to help make it work, marry it together, put it together.